Guys, Ryan DeMent. Hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to the Chasing Happiness podcast. Today's guest is Yanique DaCosta, and this is going to be a very awesome conversation. We've already had somewhat of a pre-talk, and she's spicy and she's got personality, and there's a lot of things to talk about. But before we go into that, she's the founder and the creative spark behind YKM, so we'll get into that. She's also the maestro of brand development and advertising. And I love this quote that she has on her website: turn your spaces into stages and your brand into a headliner. Let's make your event the star of the show. Yanique, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I am ready to chat it up about all the things.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for the wait and coming on. I'm looking forward to it. So before we jump into all these crazy conversations we can have, a little bit about yourself.
I am essentially what you would call a just amazing Jamaican girl. Laugh out loud. I was born in Jamaica. I have a very big passion for being creative and just the creative industries as a whole. I own a graphic design firm, as you mentioned. It's called YKMD, and we specialize in working with corporate event planners and trade show marketers to get them the consistent, reliable outsourced graphic design that they need. I have never been a fan of driving into the office because I've always felt like within my 13-year career that I could do this from anywhere in the world. And corporate America was not having it until I put my foot down and decided, hey, I'm going to do this for myself, and I'm going to do it from my living room. No one in my family thought it was a real job until COVID hit, and they were like, wait, other people can work from their living rooms too? So I guess it does have a real job. Oh, we start making fun of her just a little bit. No, we're just going to carry on for another 5 years. So yeah, that's me.
If I remember right from our conversation in the past, you were in Florida, Miami, and then when did you relocate to Jamaica?
Yeah, so I lived in just Florida in general for quite a bit since like 2006. And then, Atlanta, and then moved back to Florida because Atlanta just got a little too cold. And then I relocated to Jamaica in 2022 because I completely lost my mind. And I was like, I need a place of like solace and peace. And I need to be around some people who I feel like genuinely care about me and like my best interest. And, where things were just going to be nice and low pressure and just slower. Everything is slower here. Everybody, which is good and bad, like, because sometimes when you need to get stuff done, it's a real pain. But everything's just nice and slow.
So with it being nice and slow, I got to ask two questions. We'll start with the easy one, the softball. Are a majority of your clients in the States, or do you have a mixed bag of clients in Jamaica and in other places?
So I have yet to properly breach the Jamaican market, apparently. So it's actually very different. Like how you move here in Jamaica in the business world is not like how you move in America. America, I have it down pat. I know what to say. I know who to talk to. I know what they need. I know how they need it. I know the best ways to interact with them. In Jamaica, I'm literally still trying to figure it out. Like I'm now getting invited to parties, which is a big deal. That's a big part of it. But no, most of my clients are in America. That's the short answer.
Okay. So what got you into this space? What started? I mean, I don't remember your background, so you're going to have to refresh my memory. What were you doing in corporate America before you said, okay, enough is enough, and I'm going to do this for my living room?
Yeah, so there's like 1,000 of me and like one of you, so it's okay. You don't actually have to remember all the things. That's why I'm here. So before I left corporate America, I was a graphic designer, and I was a graphic designer in corporate events, in the corporate event space, in the marketing space. Started out, I guess it's always just been like marketing in some way or another. And really, I think I had just been laid off so much in my entire career that I really just got tired of it. I was like, I got tired of being laid off, one. And it was never because he wouldn't like me. That was also the most annoying part. Like, we like you, we like your work, but hey, we can't afford to pay you. And I actually came to the realization, well, a little while back, and I was reminded of it. I always was such a hard ball when it came to negotiating salary that I always made more than my teammates, or
Mhm.
just like other colleagues. And so when it was time to cut people, it was always me because I was always like, okay, well, if we get rid of her, we save a whole bunch of money. But then they would be like, but we can hire you for freelance work. And I'd be like, okay, sure. And I was like, if people keep like, and I'm not supposed to say fired, I heard. I'm supposed to say laid off.
Why can't you? Why can't you say fired?
Because apparently there's a negative connotation around fired as if like you were incompetent or you did something incorrect why you no longer have a job. Whereas when you were laid off, it's like they're doing restructuring or it's budgetary or something like that, and they're whatever, you just go. But for as the person leaving, it feels the same way. It feels no
Yeah,
different.
it doesn't matter.
On life, you're like, I am incomeless.
Yes.
Although I also have to fully acknowledge that I was never actually incomeless because I was always building and running this business simultaneously. Because I learned that early when I got hired at this major media company, and they lost their two biggest clients, and they just walked in and fired all the designers after I was working there for like a month. It was 1 month. I was like, I'm going to buy a new car. I had all these plans, and then just comes in and was like, hey, by the way, everybody's fired except for that guy. You guys are going to get some severance. It's like, wait, what? Are you joking? Anyway.
Was that your first job, or I mean, how far along in your journey was that?
No, that wasn't my first job, but I want to say my first. It was pretty early. It was like maybe 2 years post college, but it wasn't the first one. But it was one of the better ones, I thought. Anyway.
And how did that hit home for you? I mean, what did you feel like? You've been there for a month, and all of a sudden you're losing your job.
I felt defeated. I felt worthless. I felt like, first of all, I thought I was like just generally incompetent. There was nothing they could tell me for me to properly understand in that moment that it had nothing to do with me. Did it have anything to do with me? No, but I'm now the person without a job who had all these plans and now thinks that everything is wrong with her. But I'm actually pretty amazing. But you couldn't tell me that at the time. At the time, I was like, this is horrible. Why didn't I interview for more jobs? Why did I get so excited? Why did I get so invested? Blah, 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 blah. And then that was also another time where I learned the importance of maintaining genuine relationships and being transparent about situations, right? Like saying to people, hey, I may not be able to do calls at this time because I got a new job, but I'm still going to be taking on your projects and they're still going to get done. I may not have told them that I'm just hiring a bunch of other designers to get them done, but I still told them we're going to get those things done and I'm going to get them over to you. You might get emails in the middle of the night, but don't be alarmed. It's going to get done. But,
But that sounds like you were already starting to scale your business and you were thinking bigger than smaller and trying to keep it within yourself. A lot of entrepreneurs or side hustlers, I was a side hustler too. I kept what I was doing too small for too long. And as soon as I figured out who I focused on the how and not the who, it changed my life. And it took a long time to get there, but it finally started clicking.
I didn't know that's what I was doing. I had no idea that's what I was doing. I did not at that time understand the concept of scaling a business. At that time, I did not understand that people outsource regularly. I didn't understand none of that. I just knew I'd rather get $100 than $0 on this project by passing it to my friend and taking a commission for getting them the job. And that's how I was thinking about it. My friend can do this. I can get X for doing the project management and everybody's good. I was not thinking about scaling the business. I was just thinking of controlling my income. That's all I was thinking about. And it's now, as you're saying it, I understand that now, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. I was just like, I don't want to give up my client list. I don't want them to go somewhere else. I want them to still keep coming to me forever and ever. So I'm not going to tell them no. I'm just not going to be the body that's going to spend time doing it, because I also like, when I go to work, right, whether it's for myself or someone else, I'm in it. Okay. Like I'm putting way more energy than I probably should into someone's business. And I am kicking butt. Like I do a great job and I'm invested and I take pride in what the outcome is. So when you spend all that energy, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. doing all that, and sometimes beyond, could be till 10 p.m., you don't have emotional or mental bandwidth to then do that for yourself. So I was just like, how can I find the middle and still have a social life? I mean, I'm an okay looking girl. I like to date, whatever. Just try to keep it all together. Like, how can I keep my sanity?
I struggled with that while I was in corporate America. I was working probably 60 to 70 hours a week. I would come home at night and work on my side hustle, and the bandwidth wasn't there. And
then you become resentful, right?
What's that?
You become resentful.
Oh yeah, by all means. And then it went from resentful to, how do I want to say this? Basically, like, I was depressed on my own side hustle. I was like, this is depressing me that I can't move it along fast enough, and there's not enough time in the day for me to do it. Yeah, and where do you go?
That's also about having realistic expectations, right? Like, and not expecting yourself or your business to move as quickly as someone who's only working on their business, one. And number two, like, giving yourself some grace, because that's something that I struggle with all the time, even now. Like, is giving myself some grace. So 2022, I told you guys I kind of like low-key lost my mind, right? But like, my dad died, and then my brother was murdered, like, about a month and a half after that. So I was mentally, I appreciate it. I think I talk about it now without crying, which is like just great for me. But I was done. I was out of it. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not even sure why I'm alive. Hello, ledge of my balcony. I should probably jump. Okay, no, don't jump. Go to Jamaica instead. All of that. And I was so frustrated because right up until that moment, for sure, that was going to be my $1 million+ year. And even though towards the end of that year, like, I'm getting back to like 100K months, there's like 6 months in between where it's like, wait, I'm glad there's money in the bank because we're not bringing in any because the salesperson is out of commission. If you're only listening to the audio, I just pointed at myself as a salesperson. And I was like, and I was really upset with myself at the end of the year when I was like, I did not hit the goal that I set up in January. But I also didn't plan for anybody to die and for me to have a mental breakdown. So guess what, sis? You got to give yourself some grace.
Can we talk about grace a little bit? I mean, because that's huge on happiness and being an entrepreneur and life in general. What got you to that point where it allowed you to have grace and say that you have the ability to grieve and go through what you needed to go through?
I mean, I look at, and it's so bad. This is so bad. But this is my most transparent answer. I look at other people, and then I thought about myself at like my height. And I was like, nobody was doing what I was doing at the level I was doing on their best day. And on my worst day, I'm doing what they're doing on their best day. So guess what, Yanique? It's okay. It's okay. Like, you don't have to operate at 100% all the time. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be Superwoman. Like, not being Superwoman for a couple days is also very relative. It was like 4 months. Is your way of getting back to Superwoman strength, right? Like, at some point, there was a month where all I did was eat churros and drink margaritas. So I would wake up, I would eat churros, and I would go downstairs and I'd get it. So I lived in a building downtown Fort Lauderdale where there was like liquor in the building, liquor right outside the building door, like go down to the P level, go down to level 2, whatever, really easy access, and also churros. So those two things were I would eat churros, get drunk, go to sleep, eat churros, get drunk, that was like a proper 30+ days. And wow. I would get onto team meetings and my team would be like, well, here's the update. And I would literally be on video because in my company, video on is required. so I would be on video in bed like this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, no problem. Do whatever you want. And they would be like posting on my social media. So people have no idea like I'm like severely depressed. They have no idea what's going on in my life. My team is like running everything, and I'm just like, yep, sure. And then after my brother died, I was like, okay, I'm already at rock bottom. I cannot allow myself to get any worse. But I really had to stop and just say, like, I rested. It's okay to rest. I don't have to feel ashamed of resting. But now it's time to pick yourself up and figure out what the next steps are so that you don't completely destroy yourself and what you've built in the process.
Sorry, I've got a barking dog, like I told you. We can continue to record. I'm just going to move him out of the room just really quick, and we'll keep on going. Hold on 1 second.
No problemo.
Sorry about that.
All goody.
All right. So your team is running everything. So I guess I got to ask the question: how did you build the team before all this happened? I mean, because I think that's a huge piece of your story is you built a team that you could depend on that can get everything done.
So, number one, once upon a time, I was the team. So what I had to do for each person that I brought on was document what the process was that I did for them to follow. So I create what I call my standard operating procedures, and then I have them all housed in one specific place. So this is how this is done. This is how this is done. This is how this is done. And so when people get onboarded, they go through all of those. And then when they have questions, we talk through it. And we call that their onboarding meeting. We talk through all the questions that they have and do any kind of like feedback. And then at the end of it, you really learn through doing. So then I kind of just let them go out and do. And then we, correct the mistakes as they go and so on and so forth. And that's essentially how I think that's how anybody should train anybody to join their team is for don't tell somebody to come in their first day and then talk them through everything. Document it so they can have a place to go back for reference, to check their work, all of that. Document it, video, document it because I'm a visual learner, but not everybody is. So I have videos, and then I have like PDF documents of like click here, click here, click here. And then I have like the written transcript of what you're supposed to do. And all of those are aggregated in one place so that they can find them. Like how do I, LinkedIn is totally going to kill me for this. How do I post on Yanique's LinkedIn as her? It's there, how do I post on Yanique Instagram? And I always say this because you are not allowed to access other people's social media as them. That is a rule, specifically on LinkedIn. So guys, if you are ever, do not access other people's accounts as other people. Wink, wink. All right. But yeah, documenting the process.
So before you were doing all that, what got you to, and I'm asking this to back up because entrepreneurs, and I know I struggled with the scaling piece. What got you there? I know you were side hustling and you said you needed to, refer it out. What's that?
I was tired. I got too much work. I was tired. Especially like, how, which is also a weird thing to like be excited about. In 2020, when everybody was dying and losing money, I was inside, locked up, working out, healthy, being my sexiest self, and making way more money than I could possibly spend. Like my bank account was very, very happy. And so I was like, yeah, I actually, even though I'm at home alone for extended periods of time, I actually do not have more than 24 hours. So I need help to get all this work done. And then it continued to grow and grow and grow. And then it was like, I need an assistant. So like, even before that, it was like, I had like, my friends from like the guild that would like work on projects with me. And then like some people from like college. And then, I had my accountant, and he was actually my client before he became my accountant. Like, I had people, but I didn't have people. They would come in sometimes and work on very specific projects, and then it became no, I need people. Like, I need them here, like, all the time. So yeah, I want to be able to go out for drinks again and all of those things. Even though, ironically, still wasn't leaving the house. Was just in the house with the drink on Zoom with those, those virtual, like, drinking games people used to do. That was horrible.
I heard about people having like virtual happy hour on Zoom. Was that a thing?
Regular thing with my friends. Um, and we would play virtual drinking games. Like, there's like things that you could, like, there were games you could come and play, and you'd put the response in from your phone, and it would come up on the computer screen on Zoom. Like, it was, we did a lot. We did a lot together on the computers. And it was so much more fun, I think, because it was a time to connect with everybody. From, like, there were times when I was connected with my friends from, like, Israel and, like, Australia, like, all at the same time. And it was like, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It was just a good old time.
I've heard about it, never been on it. So I'm more of a person, in person type of thing.
We
So I don't
couldn't go
know.
anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's not relive that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Um,
Yeah.
so, as you're building the team and so forth, where are you finding these individuals? How did you build the team? Well, not how you build the team. How did you find these individuals?
So there are a couple of different things that I kind of went through. So what it kind of helps that I'm, like, heavily involved in professional organizations. So right now I'm the president of Graphic Artists Guild, but I wasn't always the president. Like, I was just like a member, socializing and networking or whatever. And then as, like, you go through leadership roles, people tend to get to know you, and they come to you with their problems and thoughts and the positions that they're in. And sometimes if you're in a position that you can help somebody and they can help you, you're like, boom, got you. So professional organizations for sure. And then, like I said, maintaining relationships as a whole is really important. So a lot of my colleagues, like, I'm in a sorority, so my sorority sisters, also great support. People that I knew from college, also really great support. People that I used to just meet at networking events, like, pulling from them, seeing what people were posting on LinkedIn, pulling from them. Then it kind of transitioned to, wait a minute, people outside the US do dope things too. So I'm the vice president of the International Council of Design. So I knew a whole bunch of designers all around the world. And I was like, and this is, mind you, this is before I became, like, the vice president. This is, like, I was, like, in the organization, actively participating. And I was like, they do really dope work. I was like, why am I not reaching out to them? And then I started doing that, and that also became a thing. But I think I was even more open to that because I knew the people. Like, I already knew them. It wasn't like reaching out to strangers. I would, like, hey, person's name that I'm not going to mention right now. Um, can you do this? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know other people who do this? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And they were like, well, we're there's no reason why we're remote. You can do this. And I just had to figure out how to get them money because depending on the country, it was weird. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
That's really cool that you were creative in working through your connections. What could be two nuggets you could share with the audience about if you're side hustling or you got a business and you're looking to connect with others? What are some tips or some nuggets that you can share to really help them excel that piece? Because a lot of us, we struggle with being by ourselves and we do it all by ourselves, but you really need an actual team.
So my two big things. All right. So the first one is, do not be afraid. And people really think that they're dying, and I don't know why, but do not be afraid to join professional organizations and be active in them. Don't just join the organizations and just show up and be like, what do you guys have to give me? Show up, contribute, be a part of the volunteer team, figure out ways to become, like, an integral part of the organization's identity. When they think about the organization, they think about you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is leverage online platforms. I am a big LinkedIn fan.
Interesting.
Right now, LinkedIn has me as a top brand development voice, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, wait, what? That's what you guys give me? I was like, okay. And I meet so many people on LinkedIn, from clients to collaborators to potential designers to referral partners, and also my Instagram page. So this is a side note. I never told you guys this, but I'm also an internationally exhibited fine artist, and I have like an Instagram page where, you know, when I know we're not talking about it, but it's a really great example. Like when I wasn't doing like gallery exhibitions anymore because, you know, we were all stuck inside. I was using Instagram to make like $5,000 to $8,000 a month selling paintings. Like I would literally, like, people would make an appointment with me, and I would do an Instagram video call and walk them around my apartment, my very, very tiny apartment in downtown Atlanta, and show them the pieces I had just finished. And they would tell me how much they want to pay, and I would just ship it to them. And
That's amazing. That's cool.
yeah, don't be afraid to leverage online platforms and join professional organizations to give yourself a leg up, and also just to not feel so alone, right? Like sometimes we really do work alone for a while until we're in the position to really bring on a team. And in that moment, that's a time to kind of like build up that network. Don't think you don't need people, because you don't need people yet. You need people.
How could we effectively use like LinkedIn? Because
Ooh.
some people struggle with that, and really, I mean, for me, when I connect with people on LinkedIn, if they send me a message and I don't know them, and they're saying, hey, you know, LinkedIn suggested I connect with you, and, you know, blah, 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 I can tell you within a day or so, they're going to send me a message trying to sell me on something. It's
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh my gosh, no, don't do it. It's so horrible. Oh my gosh, you will get blocked and disconnected. So, number one, when it comes to LinkedIn, you got to snazz your thing up, okay? If you are going to be out here cold outreaching with people, I don't have another pretty phrase to express that. Make sure that when they go onto your LinkedIn page, they know exactly who you are. So get that header updated, get that really nice headshot, get it together, and make sure that your header says exactly what you do. Not owner of tiling company. No one cares.
Yep.
I help homeowners beautify their flooring situation in 3 days or less. Proof below. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point. And then you want to also highlight like what it is that you're going to be talking about on your LinkedIn on a regular basis, not what you're going to be DMing people about. That's a whole nother situation. Then you want to make sure that you're actively populating your LinkedIn posts and feed with helpful, relevant information to your target audience. I do not care about you and your specific industry. I know you think I do, but I don't. But how are you in your industry going to help me? As an expert in the tiling industry, I know what it means, or what best materials work in this climate. Here are the top 3 materials that work best in this climate. Amazing. That might be helpful to me when I go to Home Depot. Whatever. Secondly, let's say you're sending those connections out. Don't just try to sell people things. Get to know them. Use it as an opportunity to find out what their pain points are. And if you know information that can help them, then give that to them.
Let me go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I love how you say share useful information that they can learn from, but their pain points. You went even further. And that doesn't happen across any platform, because I'll give you an example. Like, I have a VA that's out messaging people. So I have my connections. I like to stay active with my connections. Every quarter to every 4 or 5 months, I shoot a message out. Hey, Johnny, thanks for being a connection. How are things going with you in your market? What's going on with you? Anything I can help you with, type of a thing. And if it's somebody specific that I know personally, I personalize the message and go through that. You'd be amazed how many people reach back out and say, thank you, Ryan, for checking in and making sure I'm okay. It starts a conversation to figure out where they're at. we I go back to what you've been talking about. We were stuck indoors for a long time and couldn't go anywhere. That just escalated our lack of communication and connection piece that we've been losing because of social media. And it's even harder to connect with people today because of that.
You know what? I agree. But now that we are back outside, you know what I've been doing? I've been reinforcing those online connections with in-person meetups by going to trade shows and industry
Amen.
events.
That's what you should be doing.
And like, hey, oh my gosh, I'm a real person. You're a real person. So happy to see you all the way in Frankfurt, Germany. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just happen, show up. And last one, I just remembered this. Something that I literally go through my connections list and I comment on 25 people's posts at a minimum every day. Like, oh, this is interesting. How can I, thank them for sharing their information?
Whoa. Back that up. That's a huge nugget. You're saying 20, you go through 25 a day?
Yeah. And just like, I read their posts and it typically takes me 1 to 2 hours mostly. People don't really write long things. But
so what would be an example that would help somebody that's trying to make those connections and do that on a daily basis? Because if you're reading some of these posts, they're like novels. It's like, I don't have that time to do that.
Most people don't write novels. No, most people don't write novels. And the people who do write the novels, let's say there are 5 of the 25. Take the time to read it. It might actually help you understand your customer better. And if it helps you understand your customer better, that's a $350 an hour activity. That's not a $5 an hour activity. Like you can't lose that. And if you think about that as a problem versus an ad, then you're doing it wrong. It's you are now gaining valuable information. And sometimes I get that information and you know what I do? I write my own long post answering it back. Like I'll repost and I'll say, this was really great information. This is how I would do this. This is how I would do this. Actually, I actually did it the other day with one of my past clients, Liz. She was talking about an event and how someone did something really bad. And they were like, this is how I would make this better. Reach out to me if you want to have better event marketing advice. And then I reposted it and I was like, Liz, I agree with you, but here's how I take it a step further. Now, if you want a graphic designer who gets it, reach out to me. It was just, like we're just actively engaging in the conversation and the content and being part of a positive sharing ecosystem. And if you think about it as a hassle, then don't bother to be an entrepreneur, because you're here talking about self and not community and building real relationships and being reciprocal. You're just here about what you can get, and no one wants to engage with that.
I don't do 25 a day. I probably between 5 and maybe 10 on the outside.
Okay,
I mean, no, but that's all about consistency. It's just like on Facebook or LinkedIn and Instagram, and then I've got a vlog that I do. I mean, there's all types of stuff that I try to pepper in. I just think with LinkedIn, it's become so commercialized that everyone's trying to sell you something. And I try to back off and do the opposite, is just have communication, conversations, and see where it takes you.
I'm horrible. I don't even accept all my connections. Like some people send connection requests. And I'm like, I went through your page. I know what you're doing. No, thank you. Because like their page is just set up as a sales page and I'm not interested. But then the only reason why I said that's so for me, my 25 people is really easy for me because my target is very niched. They're all talking about the same thing. So I don't have to really switch my head too much. We're talking about corporate event planners and marketers, and they all have the same problems. So most of my responses are essentially the same. So I don't really have too much of an issue. If you're in an industry where you're like working with, entrepreneurs from age 25 to 35, they may have similar problems, but because they're using different jargon or different industry terms, you might have to use a little bit more brain work, and you might really have to cap it at 5 because of that. So again, that's a grace thing. Like, don't compare what I do to what you do. Our situations are not the same. So you got to give yourself some grace there.
But going out and doing it consistently is the takeaway here, is it not?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you're doing, do it and keep doing it. Regardless, like sometimes you don't see the immediate results, but doing things for 1 week does not beget results. Like, I don't know anybody who goes to the gym for 1 week and then comes home losing 25 pounds. Like, give yourself 6 to 12 months of doing the same thing over and over again. It sounds boring, sure. But after those 12 months, if it didn't work, maybe you can adjust a small nuance to see if you can improve the process. But that doesn't mean that what you're doing doesn't work. It might just need some adjustment. So that.
The consistency piece is huge. So as we land this, I'll bring us back in. If you were talking to somebody that wanted to start their business or their side hustling, whatever their situation is, what would be 3 wins that you could share with them that could inspire them to change their path to get where they need to go?
3 wins. I can work from anywhere in the world and no one can tell me otherwise.
Okay.
I've made 100,000 plus in a month. Gosh, I know this is really sad that I can't just come up with them off the top of my head. Ooh, I get to go to the beach every morning if I feel like it. And like
those are 3 wins for sure. So if I don't know if we have any businesses that need graphic design and so forth, but where's the best place that people can get a hold of you at?
I would tell you LinkedIn, because it's true. Like, your girl's active over there. LinkedIn, just search Yanique DaCosta and you'll see Yanique DaCosta MFA, LCAM. If you go on Instagram, you can search for Yani Does Stuff, literally YANI does, and then another S stuff. And then you could also just go on my website and book a time to talk to me. Totally normal. So it's the THE, Y as in yellow, K as in kilo, M as in monkey, D as in dog.com. And just click the book a demo and you'll talk to me. That's me. And I will we'll talk about whatever problems that you have, whatever assistance you may or may not need. And if what you're sharing is something I can help you with, I will help you. If not, I will just make an introduction to someone else, because I have a really nice network of people who always want introductions, and I am not in the habit of trying to fix problems I don't fix. So
that's cool. I will link all those in the show notes. I thank you for coming on. Love the conversation. Love your energy. Love that you got personal in your journey, but you're also solving a problem that you're very passionate about for your clients, and it shows in your conversation, your face, and everything ties in. You're in the right space and time for yourself.
Absolutely. I appreciate that acknowledgement, and it feels good. One day at a time over here.
One day at a time. Well, thank you for coming on.
Same. Thank you for having me.